Dear students, welcome again. We were discussing the part 8, that is the leadership, and in the module 36 we have tried to understand about the concept of the leadership. We have differentiated between the leadership and a manager. Along with, we have discussed the characteristics and the importance of the leadership. Now, quickly we got to know what are the different or how we can define the leadership. Like in the last module, 3 definition we have like trying to understand, and what are the different summarization of those definitions. Like leadership is something which like initiate the activities of the managers or subordinates, guiding the activities, okay, maintaining the level of the motivation of the employees, okay, and ultimately influencing the behavior of their subordinates so that they can be actively engaged towards the common purpose, that is your organizational objectives. Now, in this today's session, module 37, we will be trying to understand what are the inherent qualities of a good leader, leadership and the management point of differences, formal and informal leaders, okay, and the difference between the formal and informal leaders. Before we start this session, like we need to understand the basic difference between a leader and a manager. Okay, like we have discussed in the last session, but like if you have to summarize, a leader is someone who emerges from the group and he or she is not formally elected within the organization. It is because of his or her personality they are accepted within the group. They should be acting like as a shield of that particular group in any kind of favorable or unfavorable situations. Whereas a manager is someone who is hired by the organization to perform the specific activities and to guide and influence the behavior of their subordinates. Okay. So, with this we have an idea about that a leader should not be necessarily a manager, whereas a manager is always expected to perform as a leader. Now, with this we try to understand what are the essential traits and the good qualities of a true leader. Like if you can see in this slide, like 4 factors I have segmented. The broad factor, one is your physical factor, intellectual factor, social factor and moral factor or the ethical factors. So, very first one is sound health. If a leader is not having a good health or continuously he is ill, okay. So, health is with respect to the physical health as well as your mental health I am talking about. Then over a period of time, whosoever the followers are, they will not believe or they will not be trusting the decisions or any kind of suggestion given by them. Okay. So, a leader should always be a healthy person. Okay. Second is endurance. Endurance is with respect to like how you are able to like manage the different activity outside, okay, or through your surrounding. Third one is your nervous energy, is with respect to like how a manager or a leader is performing in any adverse situation or any kind of like emergency situation that happened, and how a manager is performing or how he is handling or she is handling the situation. That represent the true quality of a leader. And last one is enthusiasm. It means how the manager is like full of energy towards accomplishing any activity. A subordinate can like behave like they are like tired, they are not willing to work, but if it is from the leader, then the followers will be like behaving like them all. Right. So, it is the physical factors with respect to the health of the employee, with respect to endurance of the employee, with respect to any odd situation, or with respect to the energy. All these factors should be there in a leader. Second is with respect to the intellectual traits, high intelligence. It means that the leader should be having the knowledge about each and every dimensions. Suppose any external factor, because of external factor like the political factor, there is a like change in the business environment, and because of which the business is suffering in the decline of the sales. Okay. So, a true leader should be having the knowledge of how to deal with these situations. What models can be applied, what product modification can be done, how the promotion can be planned, alright. So, all these represent the true intelligence of a leader on like resolving the immediate problem within the organization. Second one is sound judgment with respect to the like decision power of the employee, how they are able to like take good decisions, and based on their judgment how they are like rated by their follower. Okay. Third one is ability to teach, like a manager or a leader should possess some kind of technical, human as well as the conceptual skills. Now, talking about the technical expertise of a leader, suppose few new employees joined the organization, okay, and they are like the freshers, and they do not have, they have learned so many technical skills, but the applicability of the technical skill within the organizational domain, it is challenging. So, how a leader or a manager is like teaching with respect to the use of the different technical equipments or the technical software, so that they get a first hand on experiences, the subordinates. Okay. So, it is also one of the effective quality of a leader. Scientific approach. Scientific approach means how the manager is not taking thumb of rule or based on some kind of intuition. Every decision should have some kind of rationale, some kind of logic, some kind of cause and effect relationship. Okay. So that the output or your end result should be completed within the time period as well as within the estimated cost. If you are, or as a leader, you are taking unscientific approach, over a period of time your followers will be like, they will be not liking you, or they will not be abiding the instructions, because they believe in your technical expert itself. And the last one is decisive power. Like in many situations, like the manager is expected to choose one out of many. Okay. Like in the process we have discussed that alternate resources are there, but because of the proximity of your fund or the capital, you have to select only one of the alternates. So, the decisive power or the ability of the management to like conduct the research and select one of the best alternate is one of the quality of the manager or the leader itself. If you are selecting the wrong alternate, what will happen? Over a period of time, you will see that the cost is increasing, there is delay in activity, and ultimately you cannot reverse the decisions. Okay. So, decisive power is also one of the crucial factor in your qualities of a manager or a leader. Third factor, this is A, B, C and D. Third factor is social factor. Like we have defined the leader as a person who like communicate with the subordinates, who has a very harmonious relationship with all the levels of the employees. Okay. So, third one talks about the socialism or the social factor of the leader. Very first one in the social factor is the ability to inspire. Okay. Like you will be surrounded by the different set of employees, their needs, aspiration, their likes, dislikes, their attitude, belief, perception, everything will be different. No two person is alike. So, it is the ability of a manager or a leader that how they are inspiring or they are influencing the behavior of their subordinates. If they fail to do so, the questions about your leadership skills will be raised within the organization. Okay. So, very first one is influence the behavior or ability to inspire your subordinate. Persuasiveness, it means how you will be able to persuade. Like one of the definition that we have came across of the Truman, what we have discussed that like influencing the behavior of the persons or the employees to perform those activities which they do not like it, which looks very challenging at the same time. Okay. So, persuading your employee for something which looks impossible is also the social factor of the true leader. Alright. Self-confidence, the manager should be very confident about any activity that they are performing. If the manager or the leader they themselves are like they are in the confusion that how the activity will be performed, the followers will disbelieve in their operation part. Okay. So, the leader should always behave like they are very confident about whatever the task that they are performing. Empathy, empathy means whenever you are working in the group, okay, so you need to think from the other perspective as well, like how the subordinate will feel if in a given situation the task is to be like allotted, or any kind of conflict arises, how others will feel. Like empathy is like putting yourself in other situations and like observing the thing that how you will feel in others positions. Okay. So, if the leader is empathetic, then they will be able to understand the feelings of their subordinates, and this will like enhance the bond between them and their subordinates. And last one is humanism, like every group activity, whenever the manager is leading a group, okay, human element become very important. The informal structure is also playing a crucial role for the true true self confidence of the employee or harmonious relationship with the employee and their subordinates and the superior. Okay. And ultimately this will directs them towards the group activity or organizational goals. Alright. So, this is the third factor, and the last one is the moral or the ethics of the employee. Integrity, like how the management is or the manager is very much like confident, very much honest about whatever the act that they are performing. If a manager is not so honest about whatever the activity that they are performing and the followers are having the knowledge about it, then they will not be following the manager, they will be not be very serious about the act of the leader. So, always integrity between the subordinate and the superior should be maintained. Second is fair play, like there will be different subordinate working under a leader or a manager. So, you should be always fair and equal towards all your subordinates. It is not like you are like favorable or unfavorable towards some of the subordinates. You should equally see all your subordinates. Next one is moral courage, like with respect to the morality of the your subordinate or as a leader, you should always be like, it is with respect to the integrity, the honest. Okay, you should always perform the activity based on the like some kind of moral values you have developed. Okay, that we will be always transparent. We will not be performing any activity which is against the guidelines of the organization. Okay, we should not cheat our different stakeholders. Okay, so this shows the morality of a leader. Willpower, it means the tolerance level of the manager. Okay, like in a very odd situation or a emergency situation, if the things are not going on, okay, like whatever the planned activity you have done, all those activity failed. Okay, so the manager or a leader should not panic, and they should have a strong willpower, and like they should be influencing their subordinate that somehow we have to rethink and like go for new planning activities so that we can complete the task. We should not give up. Okay, this should be there in like one of the qualities of a true leader. And last one is the sense of purpose. It means like the employees within the organization, they should be feeling that they are performing the activity for a purpose. Okay, and the purpose is like they are like a family, and everyone is contributing towards the growth of the family. Okay, the family is considered as the organization itself. The more and more you are contributing towards the organization, ultimately the individual growth will be also there. So a sense of purpose should be developed by the top manager or the leader towards their subordinates. Okay, so with this we have tried to understand about the traits of a good leader, the physical traits, the intellectual traits, the social traits and the moral traits. So I hope it is clear that with this you will be able to understand that who is a true leader. If these characteristics are there in an individual, or as a manager, you should develop these characteristics so that more and more followers will be there. Now in the next we will be discussing about the leadership and the management. Many times we get confused that these two terms are like very much similar, like just like the leader and the manager we have discussed it. The leadership and the management is somehow they are differentiated. Very first point is the relationship. Management implies superior subordinate relationship. Okay, so it is something very much formal, or we can say it is based on the structure of the organization, that there will be a superior who is a manager, and there will be subordinate, there will be many subordinates who are the followers of this manager. Whereas in the leadership can occur without superior subordinate relationship. We have discussed in the previous module of an employee from the lower level who influences the behavior of the middle level as well as the top level management. So can we call it as a superior subordinate relationship? There is no point. The point is that within the leadership there is no formal authority or responsibility relationship. There is no superior and the subordinates. Anyone can become a leader. It may be that you are at the lower position and you are influencing the behavior of the middle and the top level employee. Second one, basis of the following. Subordinate are required to follow the superiors. Subordinate follow leader voluntarily. It means what is the base through which the subordinates are following? It is because of the the authority that the manager is having. Okay, so even if they are not willing to follow the subordinate, by virtue of the organizational structure, they have to follow the instructions of the your superior or the bosses. Okay. Whereas it is not an obligation on the part of the followers or the subordinates to follow the leader. It is something informal, which is not like guided by the organization. So, in that situation, it is out of the willingness. Okay, it is out of the willingness of the followers to follow the particular leader. It is not like you have to follow the leader like it is written in the rule book in the organization, but it is written in your job profile to follow the instruction of your manager. So, this is the point of difference. Accountability, third one, manager have well defined accountability, like it is the manager are the part of the organizational structure, and the company or the organization is hiring the manager for particular job role, and what are their job role is to direct the activities of their subordinates. That is why a manager has a well defined accountability. If their subordinates are not performing well, the manager will be accountable for their activities, whereas leaders have no direct accountability, because the followers have out of willingness they have joined the group. Leaders will not be accountable for any kind of activity performed by their followers, alright, because there is no formal foundation on that. Fourth one is source of influence. Authority is obtained from the position, power is derived from the followers. It means the authority is granted to the managers so that they can like direct the behavior or influence the behavior of their subordinates. So, it's something, power is being shared by the management to the managers, okay, whereas the power is derived from the followers in the leadership. The more and more followers you will be having, the more and more authority or the power as a leader you will be generating, okay, because at large you are influencing the behavior of the followers. Last one, functions. Manager perform all the functions we have discussed in the earlier differentiation as well. Leadership is element of directing, okay. Management will be performing all the functions, your planning till the controlling, whereas leadership is an element of directing. Leadership is like influencing and directing like how the activity should be properly done, but it is not an obligation of the subordinates to follow that particular instructions or the guidance, okay. So, it is an element of just directing, and because of this many people are following a particular person. Now, with this we have differentiated between the leadership and the management. In the last part we will be discussing about the formal and informal leader, okay. We have talked too many about the like leader is an informal thing or manager is a formal thing, okay. But let us try to understand who is a formal leader and who is a informal leader. A formal leader is the only who possesses organizational authority to direct and control the activities of his subordinates, that we call it as a manager as well, okay. A formal leader is a manager, like manager is someone who is expected to behave like a leader. Why? Because organization is providing authority to that particular person or a manager, whereas informal leader is not appointed or elected, but emerges in informal group. What is formal and informal group? We have already defined it, formal, informal and formal. So, an informal group is where there is no organizational structure, and within that if a group is formed, okay, suppose informal, a group is formed, a group member will be there who will be called as a leader, okay. And if in a formal a group is formed and a person who is like leading that particular position, they will be called as a manager. So, this is called informal leader and this is called formal leader. Got the point? Okay, now try to understand further point of differences between formal leader and informal leaders. Origin arises as a result of company rules and the policies. A formal leader is getting the authority out of the rules and the regulations and the procedures or the policies of the company, whereas informal leader arises out of social interaction, that we already know it. Nature, rigid in nature, flexible in nature. What is rigid in nature? It means like a manager is getting the authority, as well as the manager will getting the guidelines that how the activity should be performed, and the manager will be very much rigid. Okay, he will not change with respect to the activities to be performed in a group. Okay, whereas a leader is very flexible. Okay, like it is not like they are accountable to perform the activity. Leader will be like influencing the behavior of the employees, and based on that they will be flexible enough, flexible in terms of how each individual is approaching towards the common group or the common goal. Okay, so everyone having the different problems, everyone will be having the different skill set. Now, with that skill set or that particular problem, the leader will be working on that. Like someone is very much good at the technical skills, so you will be directing towards the technical skills. Okay, so there will be a flexible approach which is like evident in the informal leaders. Authority arises by virtue of the position of the management that we have discussed, arises out of personal qualities. So, a leader is getting the authority because of the leadership qualities that we have already discussed in this slide. These are the some of the qualities based on which the leaders are getting the authority. Focus on achieving organizational goal, focus on achieving the subordinate's goal. Okay. Now, both are oriented towards the organizational goals only. So, a formal leader is hired to accomplish the objectives of the organization. This is the like overall objectives or the roles and duties of a manager or a formal leader, whereas informal group is formed because of the some problems or some kind of challenges being faced in the informal groups. So, their perspective is towards solving the subordinates or the followers problems, but ultimately both will lead towards the organizational goals only. Next is obedience seeking. They seek obedience through orders, like whether they are following the orders of or not. In the informal group, it will be through some kind of force or some kind of authority or some kind of, okay, it may be coercive orders as well, whereas they seek obedience through commitment. Like a leader is someone who is committed to develop the skill set of an subordinates or the followers. Okay, it is something which is not by force, but is something which arises out of the willingness of the subordinates that they are approaching the leaders for these kind of problems. Okay, so it is the commitment of the leader towards development of the subordinates. Behavior is directed by rules. There is no set pattern of behavior. Okay, it may be like within the formal group or the formal leader, it will be based on the rules and regulations. There will be set guidelines towards if any kind of activity are performed well, okay, what are the rewards and the benefits that they will be getting. If any kind of activity are not performed well, what are the penal action that can be taken. So, rules are already set out, but within the informal group there is no set pattern. Okay, it is flexible, there is no there is no like flow of communication. Okay, so with this we have discussed about the leaders and formal and informal leaders. And in this particular module, we have thoroughly discussed about the qualities of the leader. We have like 4 qualities which should be there in a leader. It is with respect to the physical traits, intellectual traits, social traits and the moral traits. And in the last, we have discussed about the management and the leadership. In the upcoming module, we will be discussing about the leadership styles. And this module will be becoming very interesting because we will be discussing some theories of the leadership styles as well. And before that, I sharing some books which could be helpful for you in understanding the theories of the leadership. That is all for the session. Thank you very much.